Hey everybody, it's me, Asinellus, and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to Reddit. Welcome to r/mi the Butthole, where all of us, everyone on Reddit, gets to decide if someone was right or wrong. And today, I've got to say, we've got some posts that are really disputable, so I won't waste another second and let's get straight into the video. Am I the butthole for not wanting to pick up my wife from the airport at 12:30 AM? My wife is coming back from a 4-day business trip. Her flight is just under 3 hours and she'll be landing around 12:30 AM. The airport is around 30 minutes away from our home and she generally hates flying in this late and asked if I could come pick her up from the airport. To clarify, the airport is O'Hare. It's a huge, busy airport. There are hundreds of business travelers coming through even at 1 AM and a huge fleet of taxis and Ubers standing by to take them home. If this was a little airport and she was waiting by herself for a taxi for 20 minutes, you would not be reading this post. As much as people are sensitive to it, safety is realistically not a huge issue here. I have to get up early and commute to work the next morning and wouldn't be getting home until 1 or 1:30 AM. I get why she wants me to come and I know it would be the good thing to do. But I also feel like she'd be completely fine just taking a taxi home this one time. Am I just being lazy or am I being a lazy butthole here, Reddit? Alright, this man was voted the butthole by Reddit. And so, this man mentions in the edit down below. I went, she had a trashy flight and was surprised and overwhelmed to see me and cried happy tears. It was a cute moment. Your comments and shaming made it all possible. Okay, off to bed. And this is an example of Reddit being used for good. I'm honestly quite surprised, but hey, if it works... Am I the butthole for telling the cashier that that wasn't the girl's credit card? I was in a higher-end department store today, it rhymes with looming tales, and happened to end up next to 2 teenage girls while shopping. One of the girls had picked out a pair of very expensive boots and they were both fawning over them. Second girl must have looked at the price tag and she asks Boots girl if she's really gonna spend that much on boots. Girl with the boots says something along the lines of, "It's fine, I have my dad's credit card, I'm not paying," which instantly caught my attention because that's not her card. I've told my son multiple times he's never allowed to use my card, so I'm interested to see how this girl thinks she's going to get away with fraud. But I had split from the girls at this point because they had found something else. We end up at the same register, me behind them, and I see her total hit well over 4 digits. The girl is about to swipe her card when I decide that I can't let her get away with something like this, and someone has to parent this kid if no one else will. I tell the cashier that isn't her card, but her father's, and I'm not sure she has permission. The girl and her friend turn and glare at me, giving possibly the dirtiest look I've ever seen. I swear this girl was going to throw a tantrum right there. I don't think she was ever told no. The girl tells her cashier that her father gave her the card to shop with because it's the store's credit card and gives him the points. Now that I've pointed out it wasn't hers, cashier tells her that she can't use the card. Girl tries to show her ID to prove that they have the same last name. Yeah, like that'll help. And I tell her it's still fraud. Girl says it's not fraud because she has permission and tells me to mind my own business. I tell her that it's my business that she's doing something illegal and she needs to pay with her own card or I call the cops. The girl is mad now and people are glaring at me. She uses her own card and leaves crying. Cashier looks mad and I tell my husband when I get home, only for him to agree that I was in the wrong. So Reddit, am I the butthole? I feel like this girl went on Reddit and typed up an entitled parent story. Honestly, it was not this woman's business to tell this girl what she could and couldn't do. And I mean, considering she paid with her own card afterwards, I feel like it would not be a problem. But even if it was that she was using the dad's credit card, her dad would find out and there would likely be consequences. Alright guys, and if you liked those first couple of stories, make sure to go down and hit that like button. This is something that really helps my channel get discovered. It pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm, so please, just one like is all I ask for this video, but I won't waste another second and let's keep going with the rest of the stories. Am I the butthole for telling my daughter her child is not really my grandchild? My daughter, 28, has gotten into DPS and fostering. She's had her own child biologically, but now plans to foster and adopt children. She's been fostering this 8-month-old for a month now, and it's been a week-by-week process with the judge and the biological family while they sort out their lives and issues that cause them to lose custody. It appears, however, that they don't care. They're not showing up to court meetings and failing exams, so who knows where that'll go. My daughter hopes to keep the foster child. I'm planning our first professional family photo in decades, and I'm buying customized matching shirts. When I asked to confirm the size of the biological child, she asked me about foster child. I told her I didn't think to include her because she's fostered and therefore may be temporary, and it may be weird to have her in a family photo. She said all grandchildren should be included. My thought process is, she isn't really her kid, and therefore really isn't my grandchild. That would change if she were adopted, but she isn't yet. She went off on me and hung up, and I'm sitting here feeling horrible. I didn't mean that I don't care for the child. She's wonderful, but I thought I had a clear thought process. Am I the butthole? Opie does add in an edit that she cares for the child and was worried about the legalities, and that actually, having talked to the people that were responsible for this, they're not allowed to have the photo shoot just because of the laws and stuff involved. Which completely makes sense to me, but then just don't have the photo session if there's any sort of a problem. You know, if they end up adopting this kid, you can delay it 3 months. Like, the shirts will still be around. What's the problem with that? The shirts will still be there. Just wait a month, 2 months, 3 months so that you just don't have this issue. Am I the butthole for pressing charges on my daughter for fraud? Now, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get a bit distracted with this first little phrase, me and my wife. I am very compelled to say my wife and I, but tell me in the comments down below, do you want me to correct that grammar like that or just leave the post as is? Actually, let's turn this into an Am I the Butthole? Am I the butthole for correcting people's grammar in their posts? Alright, here's my reasoning behind it. I think it makes the posts more clear. Maybe not me and I that change, that doesn't really matter too much. But sometimes I'll change around words just to make the meaning more clear, or at least I think more clear. So tell me down below if you're happy with small changes that will clear the story up a bit, or if you want the story exactly as is, even if it involves grammatical errors. My wife and I recently found out that her daughter, my stepdaughter, though I consider her close enough to my own after having raised her for 18 years, that her daughter has taken out about $60,000 in loan debt under our name, without our permission. For some basic context, she took out a Parent Plus loan for school, under our name and our social security number without asking us. In her first semester of her freshman year, she did come to us asking if we would fill out the paperwork for her, since her school's loans were only about $5,000 for the whole year. We explained that we didn't have the financial means to take out a loan for the amount she was requesting, about $14,000 a year, but offered to help her find scholarships or work study and other ways to potentially help her cover her costs. After she and I applied to about 5-10 scholarships and she got a part-time job, she never came back to me and my wife with any financial aid concerns again, so we figured she had largely figured it up. We brought up tuition a couple of times, but every time we'd ask, she'd just say that she was able to cover it all and didn't need any help with it or anything. Come us, a couple of years down the road, we've gotten a letter from the Department of Education saying that our loan has gone into default, and has been so for about a year at this point. We reach out to her school, and after a little bit of digging, we discover that after we had told her no on the loan, she had gone around our back and applied for it all online. She filled in her own contact information instead of our own, and the loan went through just fine, since she had the correct social security numbers and all. We've spoken with the school and the Department of Education a fair amount about this already, and basically we have two options for this. We can either eat the loan and pay it all back ourselves, something not at all financially feasible for my family since we have about $40,000 in medical debt on top of this now. Or to go through the state to press charges on each of the 5 loans she's taken out, each loan being over $10,000, making this a felony in my state with a minimum prison sentence. At this point, I'm not certain what my family can do. We don't have the money to be able to pay this loan back, but my wife and I are emotionally wrecked at even the thought of pressing charges against our own daughter. So here's the important question, Reddit. If I press charges here, am I the butthole? I mean, he's got every right to sue his daughter for fraud and possibly even identity theft. I don't really know. But imagine doing something like that to your own child, trying to sue your own child. But in a hopeless situation like this, anything could happen. Am I the butthole for using money we earmarked for our 6-month-old's college fund to buy back the exact 1972 Ford Bronco I owned as a teenager? And I love the awards on this one. We've got the Toilet Award. We've got the Poop Knife Award. We've got the Toilet Paper Award and also the Diamond in the Poo Award, and multiple of each one, may I add. So, how to begin this? I realize that on paper, I'm totally the butthole, but when you dig deeper into my motivations, I'm hoping it's more of a grey area than anything else, and maybe even I did the right thing. When I was a teenager, my dad bought me a classic 1972 Ford Bronco. It was my true passion, and I don't recall a memory from high school that somehow doesn't involve that truck. Plus, my dad and I would spend hours and hours working on it together, and we went through that especially father-son rough patch when I was a teenager. It was always that Bronco that brought us back together. I made a huge mistake and sold the truck when I turned 19, and my dad died of a heart attack 2 months later. So while it's not logical, I've always felt a karmic connection between the two events. We had a baby in early February. She's our first and the light of my life. My wife is doing well, but she's back at work and she's realized that she hates all the daycares we've tried and really wants to be a stay-at-home mum. Plus, she's still very hormonal from delivery, lack of sleep, and breastfeeding, so she's having a rough time and is angry a lot. I guess I need to say this. 2 weeks ago, I was driving through our town's warehouse district and saw a Bronco that was pretty beat up but resembled mine. I stopped just for nostalgia's sake, and the owner came out and let me take a look inside. My dad and I had glued a wheat penny under the dash as a sort of security measure, so I just sort of checked, and I'll be damned if it wasn't my Bronco. I asked him if he'd ever consider selling it. He said actually someone was on I-25 as we spoke from Colorado to buy it for $21,000. I freaked out and asked him if I could buy it right then and there for $23,000. He said if I could come up with the cash, then yes. I had been procrastinating setting up a 529, so I had $12,000 in savings that my wife's parents had given us. I maxed out my credit card to Venmo, and my mum brought down a check for $4,000, and I drove away in my old car. It was like a dream come true, like a literal dream come true. It needs a lot of work I can't afford right now, but it's mine. Like in my driveway mine. Again, I can't even describe what a joy this is. My wife and her parents are furious with me. They feel I was deceptive, that a real man would have sacrificed anything and everything so my wife could go stay at home with his kids, and that the money they gave us was set aside money for a college fund. My point is my daughter is only 6 months old. We have 18 years to set up a college fund for her. But this Bronco means everything to me, and if I wouldn't have acted, it would have been gone forever. Now, it can be that same connection between me and my kids. To me, it's literally the meaning of happiness. Like I said, on paper, I'm the butthole. The whole story is a grey area. How do you guys see it? And I've got to say, this is such irresponsible spending. Just $23,000 in just the blink of an eye. Plus he maxed out his credit card, plus he got money from his mum. And the fact that he hasn't set up a retirement fund yet sort of makes me think that this college fund will never ever get set up otherwise. And there's a few edits at the end. I had no idea this would go so one way. I guess I messed up. I talked with my mum and she's basically going to buy the Bronco from me in order to refill the college fund and pay off the credit card. The 4K will be a gift and she's going to give me whatever I need to restore it. She's always been awesome to me and she'd rather the money be spent now than wait for me and my sister's inheritance. Sorry to get everyone so mad at me. I was thinking with my emotions and acted badly. Oh, and down the bottom, he didn't even tell his wife that his mum had bailed him out. He said he found a buyer. I hope this man learns his lesson, but at this rate, I've got my doubts. Okay, I found myself a compound interest calculator with an initial deposit of $12,000 and an interest rate of 8%, which is roughly the long-term return of the stock market. OP would have ended up with $50,000 if he had not invested even a single cent more. That would have been enough to pay for his daughter's college, so I'm happy that money is back in the fund. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this installment of r/mi the Butthole. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Reddit videos 3 times every week. Videos come up every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Make sure to tell me who you thought the buttholes were in the comments below and who you think was the worst, or maybe if someone was judged unfairly by Reddit. But for now guys, I hope you all enjoyed. That's it from me, and all I want to do is see you all here next time. See you later guys.